In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Scripture begins not with an argument, but with an absolute affirmation. Before any creature, before measurable time, before organized matter, God already is. The text does not attempt to prove his existence, it declares it as the unshakable foundation of all reality. The universe does not arise from chance, necessity, or impersonal forces. It emerges from the free and sovereign act of the Creator. The earth, however, was without form and void. Darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Here we find not chaos outside divine control, but matter not yet ordered. The initial scene is not a rival to God. The darkness does not compete with him. The deep does not threaten his authority. The Spirit hovers, an image of active, vigilant, intentional presence. From the beginning, we learn that creation is an act of order. God does not merely bring existence, he structures, separates, names, and establishes boundaries. Creation is not an uncontrolled explosion, but intentional architecture. The repetition we will see throughout the days, "And God said, and it was so," reveals that the divine word is effective. There is no resistance, no negotiation. What God speaks becomes reality. This opening establishes profound doctrinal foundations. God is sovereign. God is prior. God is distinct from creation, and yet he is involved with it. The Spirit hovering indicates nearness. The Creator is not distant, he is present. Pastorally, this confronts us with a comforting truth. The order of the world does not depend on human stability. The origin of the universe rests on God's faithfulness, not on the competence of creatures. If the beginning was established by his word, then our existence rests on something infinitely firmer than our circumstances. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. The first formative act is the separation between light and darkness. God names the light day and the darkness night. To name is to exercise authority. The alternation establishes rhythm. Creation begins to gain cadence. Time is now experienced as ordered sequence, evening and morning, the first day. In the following days, we see a deliberate pattern. On the second day, the waters are separated, establishing the expanse. On the third, dry land appears and vegetation springs forth. Habitable space is formed. In the first 3 days, God creates domains. In the next 3, he fills them. Lights to govern day and night, birds and fish for sky and sea, animals for the land. There is correspondence, harmony, structure. Nothing is accidental. The repetition of the phrase, "and God saw that it was good," reinforces that creation perfectly corresponds to the divine purpose. The good here is not mere aesthetics, it is suitability to the Creator's plan. Theologically, this teaches us that order precedes fullness. God first establishes boundaries, then grants abundance. There is wisdom in the sequence. God governs through clear distinctions, light and darkness, waters above and below, land and sea. Reality is not undifferentiated confusion, it is organized diversity. Pastorally, this confronts our tendency toward inner disorder. Just as God brought form to what was formless, he remains a God of structure, of healthy limits, of restorative rhythm.
The pattern of evening and morning reminds us that life before God is not chaotic haste, but a walk under His effective word.
On the fourth day, God establishes the lights for signs and for seasons and for days and years. The sun and the moon are not deities, they are instruments. They govern because they were appointed. The text deliberately avoids mythical exaltation. The Creator is greater than the lights that shine. On the fifth and sixth days, life multiplies. Fish fill the waters, birds cross the skies, animals move across the land. The blessing appears explicitly: be fruitful and multiply. Life is not merely tolerated, it is celebrated. God desires expansion within the established order. Then we arrive at the climax. Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Humanity is not a mere biological detail, it bears representation. To be the image of God implies reflecting His responsible rule over creation. Human dominion is delegated, not autonomous. Male and female are created together, equally bearers of the image. Dignity does not derive from capacity, but from God's creative decision. The blessing includes a cultural mandate to be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, and subdue it. To work and to care are part of the original vocation. Pastorally, this redefines identity. We are not the accidental product of impersonal processes. We are called to responsibility under God. Ordered creation finds its summit in a humanity summoned to mirror, however finitely, the character of the Creator.
And God saw everything that He had made, and behold, it was very good. The final evaluation expands the previous refrain, not merely good, but very good. Creation in its interconnected totality fully corresponds to the divine purpose. There is no moral fracture, no structural disharmony. The world is born as a coherent expression of God's wisdom. This declaration prevents any dualistic view that despises materiality. The body, the earth, work, natural cycles, all participate in the original goodness. Biblical faith is not an escape from creation, but recognition of its holy origin. Then we read, "Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and on the seventh day God finished His work that He had done, and He rested." The divine rest does not indicate fatigue, but completion. God ceases because the work is complete. The seventh day does not contain the formula evening and morning. It remains open, signaling stability. God blesses and sanctifies the seventh day. Time is consecrated. The rhythm of creation culminates in rest. Order does not end in endless production, but in communion. Rest is part of the design. Pastorally, this confronts our culture of exhaustion. If the Creator Himself establishes limit and pause, then rest is not weakness, but holy imitation. Ordered creation points toward a life that finds its fullness not in accumulation, but in presence before God.
Genesis 1:1 to 2:3 forms a carefully structured unit. The text begins with God creating and ends with God resting. Between these two poles unfolds a literary architecture that leads the reader from absence of form to complete harmony. We perceive progression, from light to human life, from basic separation to moral responsibility, from the creation of space to the call to stewardship. Each stage prepares the next. The narrative is not fragmented, it is cohesive,
intentional, climactic. Doctrinally, we see sovereignty, goodness, purpose, and limit. God creates by His Word, evaluates His work, and establishes rhythm. The world is not divine, but neither is it disposable. It belongs to God. At the end, the scene is prepared. Creation is ordered. Time has been sanctified. Humanity has been commissioned. There is stability, abundance, and structural peace. And yet, the narrative has not yet focused on the details of human life. The text will now draw closer to the garden, to the man formed from the dust, to the woman brought as a suitable helper. The cosmic stage will yield to relational intimacy. Universal order will serve as the backdrop for a particular story. The God who structured galaxies also stoops to form the human being with His hands.